next round. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returned to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead have been returned to life. Returned to life. Returned to life. The unburied dead have been returned to life. Returned to life.
You need to drop that.
That persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead have been returned to life. Returned to life. Returned to life. The unburied dead have been returned to life. Returned to life.
You need to drop that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Learning Fives. Welcome back. In fact, we had 2 series earlier today. This is going to be the North America Bronze and Silver Finals. My name is Blasterboy, and I will be handling play-by-play for this game number 1 here between the Delta Airplanes and Jump is color. Help me out, man.
Cleaver Ashe.
Cleaver Ashe.
The delightful play on words.
Right in front of my face. Completely dropped the ball there.
It's okay.
But it is me. It is Jump. We're casting. It's weird.
It's the
final.
final.
Done this once.
It has. It's been a while, but like I kind of want to, before we even get to like our sentimental moment of nostalgia, we have to kind of, you know, bring it back and say that this is the final of the finals as far as all the games. We had 2 finals earlier today. We had the Gold and Platinum North American final earlier, and then we also had the EU final earlier as well. Now we're going to be doing the Bronze and Silver final, and this is, for those of you that have been with us, the culmination of everything at the end of Learning Fives. You know, you're with your team for 5 weeks, you're with your coach, you're learning, you're grinding, you're doing your best to improve, and then you get this opportunity in this kind of final tournament to really show what you have, you know, to the rest of the teams around you.
Yeah, this is the time where you really want to pull in all your friends and family and be like, hey, look, I'm on a stream. And, you know, show off to everyone else in the program. Just like you said, it's a culmination of everything. It's a statement saying, hey, we beat a bunch of other teams to get here. It was a 3 or 4 step bracket for both the NA tournaments to get to the finals. So both of these teams have proven themselves multiple times over. Some of them clean sweeping all the way through their tournaments. Some of them not. Some of them facing teams with very stacked ranks, very stacked players, and still being able to pull through to the finals. There's some great stories in just about every Learning Fives tournament. It's really cool how they're all so self-contained.
Yeah, and a really cool thing to think about as well is in this specific finals, we have players that have been in the program and have improved for quite a while. You know, you've got on the side of Delta Airplanes, you've got Sean Inkspire. He's going to be running the jungler is what it's looking like for DAP. And then flipping it on the other side, you've got Jiff and Toxelry as well, which have been in the program and involved for quite a while. So not only do you have the storylines of everybody as a whole in the program, but you've got these individual players that have just been in the program and have been dedicated for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least the coach for Cleaver Ashe, I'm not too familiar with the coach of Delta Airplanes, but the coach for Cleaver Ashe has been in the program for quite a while too, run multiple teams, 2 teams this session, even execute. Really, I mean, bringing another team to the finals. I'm positive, I don't have the exact stat, but I'm positive this is not his first, but we are here into picks and bans. Ladies and gentlemen, Amumu taken off the table first, and this is, in case you haven't caught any of the other games this session, for at least the majority of the session, we have been on the 5 snake ban system, very similar to what you will see on the LCS. So here we are.
It's ready. It's time to go. I'm actually very excited. I haven't gotten an opportunity to cast much of the two-phase draft system, although I have been able to study it and do quite a bunch of different looks from the LCS standpoint. I really enjoy the way that the meta, quote unquote, for this is really working out in a lot of ways. A big gear for the 2-phase ban system is you're actually saving a lot of your 80 carry bans and more of your carry bans sometimes to the bottom, to that second phase, because you're getting the OP quote unquote champions, your target bans, as well as those heavy CC champs that just really benefit your team across the board with things. And I know that we're having a little bit of a spectator issue as far as the overlay goes, guys, so we're going to get that fixed out right quick. But to start, for the side of DAP, we've got Amumu Blitzcrank as well as that Jinx band away, and then for the for the other side, it's going to be Lulu, Gragas, as well as that Zac.
Yeah, and a lot of these champions are pretty popular now. The Blitz is coming up. It is like an up-and-coming pick right now. In LCS, we're seeing it in both NA and EU a little bit. At the very least, Blitzcrank popping up here and there. I think the Jinx, Amumu, and Lulu are more target ban focused, although I think the Lulu is pretty strong in her own right. She's not really been in the meta recently, but we are kind of falling a bit behind here in the picks. So those are coming through. Karma is the first lock-in for the Delta Airplanes, and then Caitlyn and Nami are picked up on the other side. A pretty safe lane, all things considered, and completely dodging those second phase carry bans that you just touched on before.
Yeah, going for the Caitlyn Nami shows me right off the bat that Cleaver Ashe's team is prioritizing to strengthen their bot lane. They already had to give up the Karma. That's something that you can't do away, so you have to make sure that you can have a dominating counter lane as opposed to that. The Caitlyn and the Nami do just that, and so to make sure that their hand isn't shown, you're going to see Ashe picked up for Mama Dennis, and then you're going to have the Fiora in the top lane, a champion that has definitely rose to power over the last couple months in LCS.
Yeah, and to me, it's actually kind of surprising to see this slip through. In my solo queue experience pretty recently, and I mean in the LCS as well, Fiora has been somewhat of a power pick for multiple patches. It's very rare, in my experience with the 10-ban system so far, at least, to see Fiora get through, to see Fiora actually picked up. Now we're into that second phase of bans. A lot is still being hidden here. Both the solo lanes are hidden from Cleaver Ashe as Warwick is picked up, very likely for that jungle.
Yeah, so Warwick is going to be going over onto the jungle. If I was the side of DAP here, because you've already established a showing of the hand with that Fiora in the top side, I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like a Renekton being come out for the ban. Because Renekton does so strong against Fiora, it's much better to get that off the table and to risk the counter, because with the meta top matchup that you have, she fares fairly well against all of them. So because they skipped that opportunity, I see it as an option. You're seeing the Lucian ban come out, so there is not going to be any Lucian mid. You don't have to worry about any of those shenanigans coming out. There's the Kassadin ban as well, so 2 mid-focus picks right off the bat for both of these teams.
Yeah, and there's at least one other option that comes to mind when I think of a counter to Fiora, as we see another mid lane ban come through from Cleaver Ashe. It's the Orianna this time, but Rumble is another pick that I think we should keep in mind going into this top lane. As that seems, to me, that feels like it's a bit more of a favorable matchup than a lot of tanks are, similar to Renekton. Jace now taken off the table as well. Both of those options are still presenting themselves here, and Cleaver Ashe, they're going to have to show them sooner or later.
Yeah, something like a Rumble or the Renekton do very well as they've got already the beginning of a solid composition. It's the Gangplank. Now, the Gangplank can be flexed. We have seen the Gangplank still gone mid. It's popped up in LCK quite a few times. So it is something that they can decide to either flex to K-Money or to give to Jif. So I like this decision by Nightvolt and the rest of Ashe to be able to hopefully, you know, change things up. And so now with the mid pick being hovered, remember, you have the mid and the jungle left position open for the side of Delta Air. So are they going to decide to go for something? They have to go for both of them right away. It's going to be the Lee Sin, help them out with some engage. I really like this, as well as the Galio pickup as well. So prioritizing the CC heavy control, something that with it we have to remember, this isn't bronze and silver, and so when the coaches are working with their teams, they're prioritizing simplicity and they're prioritizing heavy CC. Galio brings that, helps the resistances to protect the AD carry as well as that, as well as the other carries on the team to help make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, something that came to mind with the Galio lock is we do see the Vladimir as the final pick, very likely the mid for Cleaver Ashe, although that is very flexible as well. Fiora and Galio, very similar to this Vlad Gangplank, can both technically be flexed as well. Fiora mid is not something that we see very often, but CLG did just play it last week, and they did win the game that they picked it in. So it is something that is tried at least sometimes, and it can completely throw your opponent off. And I feel like being very rigid is something that is maybe a common feature in some lower elo players. In a game like this, if you're throwing a curveball that you might not expect, the player might not exactly know how to respond to that properly. So I think a curveball like that could be pretty powerful here. We'll have to see what the result is as we are counting down into the spec delay now.
Yeah, so we've got a couple minutes. We can sit and chat for a little bit before we kick it over to some music and have everybody sit and enjoy as that 3-minute spectator delay is starting. And the first big thing that I see from the side here of blue for Delta Air is you're going to have some pressure coming out of this Lee Sin early.
Yeah.
Ashe, Fiora, Galio all scale fairly well, especially as they go into the mid game and they get their 2 item spikes. But in the earlier game, they are going to be susceptible. Gangplank going to be able to do some damage onto that Fiora, assuming he's going into the top lane. Vladimir, being Vladimir, is going to be able to sustain it very well, as well as this very oppressive bot lane in the Caitlyn Nami. And so it's going to be important for Lee Sin to help get his team ahead and push these power spikes forward a little bit further. Because if he's not, and Warwick is able to do that exact opposite and push things forward himself, then that's when things are going to get scary. Every member on the side of Cleaver Ashe struggles if they're behind. Gangplank, Vladimir, and Caitlyn specifically are all very weak if they get behind and they're down in items, because they need those items to show relevancy and to add power to the team fights. So if Inkspire can make sure that he's offsetting those lanes and ensuring that they do end up behind, then things can go well for Delta Airplanes.
Yeah, and touch back to that Lee Sin point that you just made a moment ago. The big thing we want to be looking for is not only just general early game pressure, but specifically pre-6, because Warwick is historically bad at ganking before level 6. So if the Lee Sin can get a lot of his work done there, then there's not going to be a lot of a response from this Warwick.
Without a doubt. But we are going to have to hope and wait and see. We've got about a little under a minute and a half left on the spectator delay. And when we return, it is going to be game number 1 of the Learning 5's end of season tournament finals. The bronze and silver match between Delta Airplanes and Cleaver Ashe. Don't touch those keyboards. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on to the Rift for the Learning 5 Bronze and Silver North American Finals. This is game number 1 between Delta Airplanes on the blue side and Cleaver Ashe on red. My name is Blastborn, and I'm joined here by Jump, and we have jumped right into a pause.
Nice pun there. It's the only one you're allowed for the entire broadcast. Let Freak be Freak and let you sit beneath him ever so willingly. We are at a pause. It did just get unpaused. We had to make sure that everybody is connected and ready to go. But this is game 1 of the NA Bronze Silver Finals. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we introduce these players that have done it for the side of blue. It's going to be Delta Airplanes. It's going to be Stanley in the top lane, Inkspire in the jungle, Marmalade Toast in the top lane, Mama Dennis at 80 carry with Yo-Yo Joe 94 at top. We messed it up because they weren't in LCS order, so I'll flame them after the game.
Right, and then on the red side we have Cleaver Ashe with Nightbolt in the top lane, Keimani in the jungle, Toxery in the mid lane, Jiff at ADC, and Glitchheart at support.
So, we're getting into the level 1s. It doesn't look like we're going to have any kind of crazy warding or anything of that effect to really see where anybody is. You're not seeing many level 1 attacks like what you used to in previous seasons. It's much more of an acquisition of vision, especially with 2 early game junglers that you have in Lee Sin as well as Warwick. It does look like that they're just going to play themselves safe, know where they're at, start onto the bottom side of the map. Lee Sin is getting spotted out here. You can see into this bush, and so they're going to have knowledge that he is starting on his own red side. And so that could be an opportunity for Keimani to track him and essentially really help to counter jungle a little bit better.
Yeah, I believe the team is discussing that right now. It looks like we won't have any crazy lane swaps or anything. We expect no weird flexes or anything out of the ordinary. So pretty good matchup for the Galio here, I feel. Similarly for the Black, Galio was just nerfed. I guess ultimately what I'm getting at is it's a pretty even matchup in the mid lane. Galio will be able to take quite the beating from Vlad. Vlad will be able to sustain, and Galio doesn't have nearly as much damage now to back it up as he was just nerfed this patch. Mostly focused around his wave clear ultimately, but
yeah, and without the real setup as well of the fact that you don't have the stacking from the Doran's rings anymore, that definitely is going to hurt them as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be just, a tried and true, and hopefully you can get some help from his laner. As we are seeing blue side here push in very strong onto Jiff and Glitchheart. They're wanting to keep that lane pushed up. Anytime that a Caitlyn Nami can be pushed back, the better it is for them, because if they don't have that opportunity to go for that tried and true poke duo that they have at their strength, then things are going to work out in their favor. They also know that they can push themselves up. They're fairly aware that Keimani started on that bottom side, so he's probably near the top. As we see Inkspire catching out Keimani on the top side of the jungle now, tracking him fairly well.
Yeah, both of them pinged out here, but Inkspire will end up backing out in the end. Not quite able to get any, just a little bit of vision, and, well, actually, he's going back in. Looking for a bit more here, potentially. There's the Q, he gets the steal with the smite, and he's out completely cleanly. He dodges the fear, and he has nothing left to worry about. Clean Warthog.
Tracked him, tried and true, had the ward in the bush, and it wasn't enough for Keimani to be able to smite that away. And that's going to be a very difficult situation, because now that's a 3 buff onto him. He's got the, they are sitting at level 3 right now, but Inkspire's about a half a level above, which is going to be a disaster if he's able to power farm and keep that lead ahead, because that Lee Sin level 6 power spike with the follow-up damage that you have from all 3 lanes are going to be quite scary if they're not careful.
Yeah, quite often you see 3 buffs kind of fall flat, though. So he does have to put in a good bit of effort to keep this ball rolling, for sure. But he is in a great position to do it. It is significantly easier now than it was previously. So hopefully we will see some good things from him. So far, this bot lane pretty much dead even. The wave has mostly reset, And the push is kind of coming through, but a lot of it was on the back of Stan really putting down poke onto the wave, which is something that Nami can't really do, and that led to their push advantage at level 1. He's not really been focusing too much on that as his mana is kind of wearing thin, so we're seeing this lane stagnate now. And the Caitlyn Nami a little bit ahead in CS. It was dead even before, but now it is a bit of a lead in favor of red side.
Yeah, and the difficulty that you find yourself in is when you're being the one that's hard pushing the lane, when you're the one that's keeping them there, you have to make sure that you're hitting all that CS as well. Because if they're able to push back, then that push that you had really doesn't do too much for you. As we see, the CS advantage is about a wave ahead, but now here comes Sean.
Fire. Yeah, looking for this gank here. He gets bubbled up, hits the net, hits the trap, everything in return fire. Doesn't get any summoners or anything, but he does break this push from the red side. But now Keimani looking for something similar here. He's walking in blind. Will get spotted out. Stop a word. Happy with that, but pretty effective gank from Sean as his first shot there. It didn't get any summoners, nothing super huge that makes it absolutely good, but it was a small advantage, little, a little bit of a break for this bottom lane, Mama Dennis and Stan. Now they'll be able to comfortably get that lane back in their control and maybe look to back in the next few seconds.
Yeah, and things are working out very well in favor of DAP as well, specifically because of the hard CS advantage you have into the top side of the map. You can see that Marmalade has a 17 CS advantage over Nightfall. That's 2.5, a little over 2.5 waves. That's an unbelievable advantage early, especially considering that you don't really have a hard item spike on Gangplank until he gets that Triforce completed. And as a result, that's going to farther put him even more behind, as Marmalade Toast is just making sure that she is staying as relevant as humanly possible. Instead of going back and getting just raw AD, decided to go get the Vampiric Scepter, try to keep up a little bit more of the sustain from those Q pokes coming out of Nightvolt, and as a result, you can just see the lead just constantly pushing, keeping the wave pushed back, has the ward coverage in both the Tri-Brush as well as the River, and so he's going to know exactly when Keimani decides to come and hang out top.
Yeah, but we'll have to see if it actually matters here. He's been marked in the top lane, but he's still not backing off. Keimani now getting in behind the riposte. He blocks the fear with it, though. Keimani's still chasing on here and gets the first blood under the turret. As Marmalade, I don't even think he was followed through the flash there. He just ended up getting run down. Good gank from Keimani. Fantastic from a deficit. Yo-Yo is incredibly low in the mid lane. Got ignited. Had to back away. No flash burned yet, but maybe he needed to. Tox. That great kill. And he breaks this very stagnant mid lane. It was completely even for the longest time. Great solo kill from Tox.
Yep, the final auto attack to kill them all. And just like that, it's going to be a nice utter rebuttal from red side here. Team Ashe making sure that they are keeping themselves relevant, keeping themselves. Doesn't matter how many wards you have in the top lane. If you're not watching that map, then it's going to be all but done and through. As the level 6s are hit for the side of Jif and Glitchheart, they're going to decide to go back. They've got plenty of gold in their pockets, so they're going to go and try to get a little bit more poke damage as well, making sure that they keep that lane dominated. And so now, with a kill into the pocket of Keimani, he's going to be able to have that Bombi Cinder as well as the Tiamat at his advantage, as well as the super lead that you have from the Vladimir. If you get behind against the Vladimir, things become all the more difficult for you. Even with that extra health of the Catalyst provided by Yo-Yo Bros, it's not really going to matter when you just have constant sustain and constant poke coming out of Toxery and this Vladimir.
Sean hanging around the mid lane a little bit right now, but is simply in transit to his red buff, it seems. So good first gank from both of these junglers. Keimani pulled himself back from a deficit in the jungle off of that 3 buff from Sean. He pulled his top laner back a little bit. The CS was even before Marmalade returned back to that top lane. And Nightbolt got the assist as well, so he has a little bit of extra money. If you look at the gold, he's actually still even with the 20 CS deficit. Now Keimani onto Sean in the jungle here, kicked out of the hero's entrance, steps back in for just a moment. Tox is coming in looking for a bit of damage, but not quite able to find as the bot lane is now responding. Marmalade Toast fighting with Nightbolt in the top lane, and this fight down bottom is actually still going. Keimani is at 6, and he blast cones over the Dragon Wall. Now there's the tidal wave, not the best one I've ever seen. Didn't do all that much. There was really no need for that, I would say. Didn't really need it to disengage, and there was no chance of follow-up as everybody had already retreated, but to avoid dwelling on that too much, the whole fight was diffused. Sean gets out alive, thanks in part to that hero's entrance.
And so just like that, the back and forth occurs, but no real kills come in often through that. It was a great kick away by Inkspire to make sure things are through. Marmalade Toast and Nightbolt are going to go back and forth, but it's just constant sustain that you have. When you don't have a hard CC coming from your enemy top laner, that riposte doesn't really do much outside of the damage negate, and it doesn't allow them to help any kind of the knockdown. You also have to take a look at what she has for items right now, and when you're only sitting on that Vamp Scepter, you're not really going to be able to do a lot of that crazy auto attack animation canceling burst damage that we're used to seeing coming out of a Fiora. And so now they're going to have to play back. About a 1,000 gold lead in favor here for Cleaver Ashe, as they are just doing their best to continuously farm up. And for all of that, that's the best. They do end up outscaling in the late game. They've got a Gangplank, they've got a Kaylin, they've got a Vladimir. And so now Inkspire is going to have it, but he's going to miss the point blank.
Oh no, but he gets the ward jump and... Oh man, hit flash into the face of Glitchheart. Knocks him out right there.
Who needs a Sonic Wave? Who needs a Resonating Strike? All you need is a Ward Hop and a Flash. So it ends up working out in their favor. The kill does go over onto Inkspire, though. That kill would have been much better used over onto Mama Dennis, but regardless, he's still going to have it there and through. Yo-Yo Bros gonna try to go back against Toxery, but it's just really not gonna matter too much, as that sustain is just way too strong.
Yeah, but though he does get the kill, they also get that dragon off the back of it. Translating kills into objectives is one of the most important things you can do in League of Legends, in my opinion. And that is a fantastic start from the Delta Airplane. First kill of the game, first objective, first big objective of the game as well. They even up that gold lead just a little bit, only 400 down now.
Yeah, now a good thing for Yo-Yo Bros and Scalio in the mid lane is he has been doing a fairly solid job at keeping the CS up. He's going to put damage on the Toxery, but there's just too much on the side of this Vladimir that he's not really going to be able to do anything too crazy, as Nightbolt as well as Marmalade Toast are continuously going at it back themselves, but you still have that two-wave CS advantage, which is way too strong. No, Glitchheart.
Chart? Fucking a bit further up than maybe should have there. Does get out cleanly, though.
As we sit and as we chill, we did miss that Ninja Dragon coming out of Inkspire, something that we did fail to touch upon, but that first Ocean Drake rather did go into their favor, so that's going to help them out. Even out the gold is only a 100 gold, which is fairly negligible at this point in time, as both of these teams at almost 13 minutes in are going to keep up as much as possible on this farm fest. All of them need items. They all need a little bit of extra oomph behind their attacks and their abilities to keep themselves relevant. As Marmalade Toast and Nightbolt are just constantly battling to keep control of this bush. That pink ward's going to end up through is now Glitchheart.
Kill down in the bottom lane as Glitchheart flashes forward, going for the bubble, going for the tidal wave, not able to finalize any of the kills though. The ace in the hole is already gone. Keimani on the other side of the map, meanwhile taking out Inspire, and Nightbolt gets the last hit. 2 flashes burned for none, but I think that was worth it as Nightbolt now bounces back a little bit more in the lane. Keimani still gets that assist. Now Toxery here to assist on the blue buff as Yo-Yo Bros. He really wants to fight this, but there's just no way in.
No, you did have 2 flashes blown, so both Nightbolt and Keimani did end up having to waste their flash. But like you said, getting that kill over into the pockets of the Gangplank is extremely powerful, considering the deficit that he's currently facing. You got to go back to the bot lane fight that she had. Just one auto attack was all that remained onto Stanley, but it didn't end up mattering as the waves are going to get pushed up. They're not going to be able to take this tower, as Mama Dennis is going to be able to do stuff nice. And oh, the flash!
In a straight line from Shift, trying to escape the crystalline arrow, but not quite able to do it. Now almost snared, but inching his way out of everything there. Thanks in part to that heal and the Nami passive. Jiff gets out cleanly.
Ain't no party like a fair class party. Now it's going to be another party in the mid lane. It looks like Toxery's.
It's getting ganked by Inspire here, but he's got the Flash Proto Belt and the pool, so There is absolutely no way that they can follow up on him there.
So 2 for
Nightbolt
2.
really wants to barrel this lane.
It's like the bait of all baits. Like when you hit your first Q on a Lee Sin, it's like, oh, I have to get it. And when you see a big wave as a gangplank, it's like, oh, I have to be able to get this down. And he's gonna say, you know what, screw you. You keep trying to deny my farm, so I'm just gonna ult the wave, get as much farm as I can. He's gonna be able to have it. He's gonna be forced to go back. He has to teleport, but here comes Sean. Ultimate available.
Yeah, he really wants back. Hero's entrance coming in as well. Kicks him away from Yo-Yo Bros, but there's the taunt coming through, and yeah, there's nothing left for Nightbolt to do there. He didn't have his flash. Yeah, Keimani has the ultimate available. Looking to drop it onto someone, but no, not actually willing to burn it if he's not going to hit it for sure. I feel like he maybe could have even hit Mama Dennis there, but still not willing to go for a first brick over to Marmalade Toast and Expire in the top lane, though.
It was actually a very smart decision not to end up using that ultimate because you had the potential stun lock coming out from the Karma. It would have actually ended up canceling his ultimate because of the stun doing so. And so instead they're going to back off. They're just going to end up getting this turret. But like you said, the first turret did end up going over onto the side of Delta Airplanes, which is very key in this constant battle of back and forth gold that we've seen between both of these teams. Is now Glitchheart is going to try to get some slows, has just enough, but there it is. Oh, what a great
bubble. Here's Marmalade Toast looking to turn this around. Mama Dennis is going to get picked off by Keimani, and there's the ultimate onto Fiora as well. Her post coming through a little bit too late. Just to reflect some damage now, looking for those vitals, hitting the first one onto Keimani. Going for the second, not quite going to get the speed boost from that. Yo-Yo Bros is here as well. Now Inspire in addition. That's the flash cripple onto Glitchheart, and that's going to be enough to take him down. And the flash is there from Galio, but they would rather just go for the turret rather than the dive. But mid turret falls.
They got the two kills. They got some flashes, multiple members flash. You see Marmalade and Inspire both ended up having to waste their flash onto things. And so what cost does this end up losing them, though? They do get the turret rebuttal onto the bot side, but they lose the mid turret as well as a lot of farm on multiple members. You can see that Toxery and Keimani were able, or not Keimani, sorry, Toxery as well as Nightfall were able to push things into the mid lane, which made a heck of a lot easier for both of them. And so now, with 17 minutes and things reset, you still only have 200 gold separating the two teams. You've got a lot of power into Inkspire, sitting at 3-1-0, as now Toxery's going to catch him out. You might have the power.
Going to almost take him down. Yeah, there's the last tick of that Ignite coming through, and that was everything from Tox. Everything from Inspire there, and Tox is the victor in the end. And that's perfect timing. That was 10 seconds before the dragon spawned. Here it is, Infernal Drake first of the game.
It started out as a simple, hey, let's just make sure we check this red buff, but then when they realize, there's a wild Lee Sin there, that makes things all the easier, but no, the volley takes it away, as now Keimani's going to be on the pursuit.
Yeah, and that is the ultimate being thrown down, the tidal wave coming through as well. Massive slows Hero's entrance, looking to zone them out. The arrow goes wide, right over Tox's head, rather. And because of that, there will be no re-engage from Delta Airplanes, but there was nothing left in the tank for the side of Cleaver Ashe either, so they also back out. What a steal.
The feels bad man moments are coming out in full force as the smite was available. There was only, I believe it was 100 or 110 HP left on that dragon, and the volley just came through. Mama Dennis saying, you know what, that's going to be mine. We've already got one Drake. I want to put a second one on the menu. They swipe it up nice and true, and that's going to be huge because of these constant back and forths and the essentially even gold lead that we have, less than 1,000 separating the two teams. There's a huge factor in being able to rack up these Drakes early.
Whoa, Stanley caught out in the bottom river. Going to be able to escape in the end. Keimani now getting invaded on by Marmalade Toast. He still has his flash. His ultimate is not quite up yet. I think he should be able to get out of here just fine. Yeah, Chilling Smite down. He gets out cleanly. Stanley gets out cleanly on the other side at the cost of his flash. We are into a pause. It looks like looking like Nightbolt is having a bit of lag.
Yeah, so we're gonna fit some little connectivity issues as we hit the reconnects right there, and that kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of take stock of where we're at right now. We are at 2 seconds under the 19-minute mark. And you have 700 gold separating the two teams, as well as 2 towers apiece for both of them, with 2 Drakes in the favor of Delta Airplanes. And as we have said before, you've got a lot of strength onto this top lane. Marmalade Toast having a very sizable lead, rather, over Nightbolt, and it's definitely something to be considered, as well as the fact that 3 of the 4 kills from Delta Airplanes are onto the side of Inkspire, and so he is going to have to be the determining factor of how things are pushing forward, because if you flip the script over onto the other side for Cleaver Ashe, things are very well distributed. You can see assists on 4 of the 5 members, as well as kills on 3 of the 5 of them, and so having that kind of split efficiency as far as resources goes with the scaling that you have from the side here for Cleaver Ashe, definitely something that they're going to have to think about as things push forward.
Yep, coming out of that pause now, so man, I'm still like recovering a little bit from that Dragon Steel. That was nuts. But right now it looks like Herald is potentially on the menu.
The dog agrees with you.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly, the dog agrees
Wholeheartedly.
with you.
Got some festive fireworks. So we'll likely have more guest appearances from them throughout this cast, but Herald looked like it was on the menu for a moment, but it's a little bit too close. Whoa, Marley Toast just dashed into the bubble. Loses half his health for it. He thought he was being fancy with that juke, but juked right into the trap.
So now they are going into the classic ARAM into the mid lane. You do still see Nightbolt trying to salvage some farm onto the top side of the map. I don't really see too much anything going crazy. It's going to have to be, from an engage standpoint, Inkspire or Yo-Yo Bros just dashing in, but they're very telegraphic dashes, and so it can be very easy for Glitchheart, as well as even Jiff with the 90 caliber net to really just get away and disengage with that. However, you do have Keimani, which has that movement speed as well as that ultimate to help with their engage. But you can see that they're just farming themselves around. It looks like you're going to have a 2v1 onto the bottom side of the map. It looks like they might want to go for Marmalade.
Yeah, if you can pick off the split push while the enemy team has somewhat weak pushing. Whoa, Jiff getting caught up in that arrow, and there's a tidal wave coming through as well. Tox right in the middle of the enemy team. He has dropped his ult already. Actually, he's not going to be able to heal. We've got Marmalade Toast getting picked off on the bottom side of the map. Nightbolt picks that up. Ends up being a 1-for-1 overall.
Very, very clean play there by Inkspire, ending up hitting the 3-man Dragon's Rage, which allowed them to have it. But because they did end up having multiple members low, as well as a huge piece of that wave clear and Toxery being left alive, they're forced to disengage and really not come anything off of it. And so it's going to be a total of a 1-for-1 trade. Marmalade Toast ended up going down into that bottom side of the map, which will allow the scaling of Nightbolt to help out a little bit more. He has his Triforce, and if he can push himself off to that second item, then the side here for Cleaver Ashe is going to be a lot stronger.
It's worth noting that thanks in part to that extra kill now that he has over his lane opponent, well, about half a kill effectively if you were just looking at scoreline, in spite of his CS deficit, Nightbolt is still up 600 gold over Marmalade Toast right now. And that has varied a little bit, about 400 to 600, but he has been pretty consistently in the lead for the last little bit, even just by a couple hundred, thanks in part to his passive, is one of the main proponents of that.
So we get a nice little blue buff transfer over onto Yo-Yo Bros as we're now 22 minutes in the game, and considering the slack that you give a lot of the lower elo teams and their tenacity and their overall desire to just fight all the time, we're seeing essentially a much lower kill game than what we were expecting. There are some kills. There are 11 in 22 minutes, so technically a kill every 2 minutes, but a lot of these kills are coming from these bigger engages and these bigger kind of more skirmish factors as opposed to these just simple 1v1 duels. And so you can definitely give both of these teams a lot of credit because they've been able to go throughout the season and essentially learn these better, more successful opportunities at when they need to pick the fights and how they actually need to put them across.
Yeah, and I think Nightbolt is a perfect breathing example of that in this game. As we see an engage onto Jiff, there's everything blown from Inspire. The bubble comes out. Try and turn it around. Quite going to connect. Nightbolt now fighting with Marmalade Toast on the bottom side of the map, but both of them get out cleanly, and they're pretty happy with that trade. But I want back to my previously attempted. I think Nightbolt is a good example of what you were just saying about how these teams have learned, these individuals have learned so much. As far as not doing a lot of, not having a lot of 1v1 in this game, because Nightbolt, his only death was to a 3-man dive. After he was losing the lane and down in CS, he took the loss that he knew he could recover from later, rather than trying to get that CS then, like, man, I really need this CS right now, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get it back. It is something that's recoverable, and that's something you have to realize as a player. That's pretty hard. I have a hard time with that personally. Just realizing that the CS is not all that important. It's not as important as living and not giving up multiple kills sometimes. So
now you've got the Ocean Drake number 2 being spawned up across the mark. An important thing to note about Toxelry, he is sitting as the highest CS with 179, one over the second place in Yo-Yo Bros, but he was able to finish that Leandre's Torment, which is going to be very big in combating against this Galio because of the raw health that he has available. And so now they're going to be tangoing around this Ocean Drake, seeing when they're going to go back and forth. You do have teleports available on both top laners. As you can see, Marmalade Toast pushing onto the top side of the map, hoping to see when they're going to be fighting it through. As Marmalade Toast might want to dive this, forces the ultimate out of Nightbolt. That next wave is going to be coming through. He doesn't have flash for the next few seconds. That could be an opportunity for dive for Marmalade.
yeah, I mean, so fairly large cooldown on that flash. Unfortunately, not in the next couple seconds. Not quite as close as maybe he would hope. 5-10 seconds out, he could very reasonably have that up for a potential dive, but instead he is just going to have to play back a little bit. He's going to wait, make sure that Marmalade Toast commits his attention at the very least to that turret before he walks up, so that he doesn't just completely get picked off. Now that it is inching closer, the Dragon was started for just a moment before, but the push off came very quickly as Delta Airplanes collapsed on that fight. But now we are seeing a back cut out through. Yeah, there's the Ashe coming through off the back of that taunt, and Keimani is going to have to flash and ult out of their Yo-Yo Bros, jumping onto an ally that was previously right where he was standing. So the hero's entrance doesn't take him too far.
Yeah, they had multiple members there to once Keimani got locked up, but the difficulty was that their big damage dealer in the Ashe didn't show up until after all the same CC stuns were actually down. So that ended up making things that much more difficult for them. You are seeing the teleport coming out of Yo-Yo Bros, but there's no Ink Spire, and they're going to end up losing the Dragon.
Yeah, that wasn't enough to keep the Dragon from their hands last time, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, Keimani was much more precise with his smite, and Cleaver Ashe does secure their first Dragon of the game, Ocean Drake. And if we hop over to that pit again real quick, it is a third Ocean Drake of this game coming up next, and that will be the last Elemental Drake of this game, 100%. The one after that will be Elder, so we're going to see 3 Oceans, 1 Infernal. Not the most exciting set of dragons that you could see in a game, but still pretty solid nonetheless. That sustain for whoever gets it, the second Ocean, will be very good. Mid lane turret falls off the back of recalls. Recall punishments, something that we've seen a little bit just now in the last minute or two, as Cleaver Ashe was able to get that dragon off the back of the Delta Airplanes backing due to the previous skirmish in the jungle. And similarly here, the Cleaver Ashe backed out after they took the dragon. They were happy with that. They lose the mid turret in response. So overall, back and forth. Touched on it a little bit earlier as these players are going back and forth now. Expire was looking for the engage there, but Jif is really the target. It was all a ploy.
And Expire gets another kill in that pocket. That was a huge opportunity where they could have fed that over to AD carry, but now the fights are coming through.
Yeah, that Lee Sin ult was the main focus. How he wanted to get in before, but he still has it in his back pocket, and he knocked Tox right out of the fight. Yo-Yo Bro's a little bit caught, and a lot of it caught as Keimani sinks in those claws, and it looks like that will be enough to disengage. It is a 1-for-1 in the end onto Jif and Yo-Yo Bros.
a crazy sense of movement there, as you had Yo-Yo Bros have a little bit more aggressive of an ultimate than what you wanted them to have. And this is kind of that back and forth that we keep talking about. And this is where things are going to get scary if you, if you're Delta Airplanes, because even though you're staying in it, you've got an extra dragon, you're able to get the final of the outer ring turrets, you do get outscaled. Toxery is going to continuously get stronger and stronger. Keimani is at the point he's been able to upgrade his TMI to make things a little bit stronger. You've got the scaling as well coming out from Nightfall as Inkspire gets caught out.
Yeah, he walks a step too far, but maybe he lives through all of that CC. He burns the flash, he walks it off, and he's able to turn around.
Shields.
Yeah.
The Ardent Sensor coming from Stanley made things all the easier, as well as that final follow-up to the Q. Ended up picking the kill. Marmalade Toast is going to get knocked out now. Multiple skirmishes in the jungle.
Yeah, Keimani caught on the opposite side, though. He throws down that damage reduction into the Fear, and that keeps Inspire off his back for a little bit longer. And everybody kind of walks it off there except for Nightbolt. Unfortunately, it looked like a pretty much guaranteed kill, but Inspire with the clutch, the whole team of Delta Airplanes with the clutch to get Inspire out of there.
Yeah, you just
huge play. If they had been able to kill Keimani, they could have very viably looked for maybe a potential Baron. It would have been really risky, I feel, still, but definitely would have been an option, at least getting a lot more vision control, and they still did get a little bit of that off of the one kill.
Yeah. So now, finally coming up to the 30-minute mark, you're having all kinds of ward coverage come around the Baron. It looks like they're wanting to potentially put that onto the menu, as they do have a very low topside turret. It is going to get pushed up, so they're not going to be able to take it right away. But they are going to prioritize that ward coverage. You only have one sweeper, one upgraded sweeper actually, here on the side. And Mama Dennis is going to get caught out, and that's a very powerful Toxery.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you have, doesn't matter how you do it, you're going to end up going down. Great pull here, just trying to get away.
Yeah, and that was the response teleport. Now Keimani in the middle of the enemy team on the opposite side. The hero's entrance dropping, trying to prevent everyone else from getting in. Yo-Yo Bros throws himself in the fire, ends up getting burned. And there is just no safety for the rest of the Delta Airplanes. Nightfall, a little bit aggressive there onto the turret, just kind of trying to walk by it, but they will get that mid-tier 2. They're looking for the tier 3 off of the back of those 3 kills.
They should be able to get it. It doesn't look like it's something super tradition. They have Jip, and he's got the first seal item completed, so it's going to be very done very quick. 31 minutes in, it looks like we're going to see the first inhibitor of the game. Some nice fancy plays by Inkspire, but through and through, this is a prime example of what happens with Nightfall gonna DC. There might be a pause having to be forced to come out after that. Not too sure that's exactly what he wanted, but the point to be made is something that we've been harping on throughout the entirety of the game thus far. When you pump all of your gold into your jungler early, and he's not able to offset the other lanes and help them get ahead even further, then things are going to be difficult. 6-2-1, yeah. A tremendous stat line for Inkspire. Not something that you have to scoff at by any means, but look at how much his lanes are struggling. You've got a tank in Yo-Yo Bros, which you can say doesn't necessarily need all of those items, but 0, 2, and 5 on that Ashe, it's going to take a while for her to get to something, and as long as it's taking her to scale, you're getting kills and scaling coming out of that Caitlyn as well, which are certainly making things even more difficult for you.
Yeah, and just looking at the gold just straight up, it's 300 gold deficit for Yo-Yo Bros in the mid lane. It's an 800 gold deficit in the bottom lane for Mama Dennis, and I mean, it's a similar story across the board. Even with those 6 kills, Inspire is still down 400 gold to Keimani, his jungle counterpart. And the top lane is even an 800 gold advantage for Nightbolt. So overall, everything, this much more distributed gold lead is significantly favoring the side of Cleaver Ashe.
For sure. And so as we wait to get the reconnect coming in from Nightvolt, we can take a final or another little look at where we're at. 31.5 minutes of the game. You've now got a 3,000 gold advantage in favor of Cleaver Ashe, as it does look like they are going to get back into things 31.5 minutes, like we said. Nice sportsmanship from both of the teams to understand, hey, you're DC. We want to make sure if we beat you, we're going to beat you on a 5v5 situation. But with that middle inhibitor down in favor of Cleaver Ashe, it's going to be up to Delta Airplanes to really change their strategy if they want to try to move forward with this.
Yeah, they have to really buckle down and look for picks, I feel like. That seems to be what their comp kind of favors. They don't have enough tanks nor enough damage dealers to really or enough big like carry damage dealers to really want to take full 5v5 fights versus this Caitlyn gangplank and Vladimir focused comp, and the Nami's there to back them up. Keimani is incredibly tanky in this front line, and he works to picks as well. But if we look at the previous fights, it's a systematic removal of one person at a time on from the side of Cleaver Ashe, and that's how they end up winning their fights. They just get kill. They just chain kill into kill into kill because they have so much damage, they have so many cooldowns to throw that it's really, really difficult for the Delta Airplanes to have much of a response. And now we're seeing this Baron bait come in to some degree from Cleaver Ashe off the back of the Delta Airplanes.
There's not a lot of ward coverage. You're going to have to make sure that they're careful. They are stacking up back and forth in the bush, but it looks like they are just going to end up clearing waves through as they have it. A nice big sizable wave being pushed up on the bot side of the map. That's going to force Marmalade to go down. Teleport is available. Nightbolt is going to be up very soon as well, so he's going to be able to go and contest if she decides to push in onto that bot turret. It is about to happen to do so. As things are standing through, you did have the dragon second Ocean Drake being racked up there for Delta Airplanes. They have 3 dragons, and you have to give them a lot of credit as well. 4 dragons being taken before the 35-minute Elder Drake spawn. So a very solid effort by both of these teams to ensure that they can get as many stacks of it as possible when they can. Keimani's going to come through, take some damage by that Baron. They did a good job at pushing waves up. I'm not too sure why he's pushing there. There's already a huge wave being pushed up, so it's not hard to push anymore. As Nightwolf is being forced to help out on the bottom side of the mat. You've still got about another 2 minutes or so left on that inhibitor. They're going to be fighting super minions for quite a while. And I would like to see the side of Cleaver Ashe try to set up and get a little bit more of the Baron's play. They have a lot of damage to Zeolite. Now Toxley gets caught out.
Yeah, and now that's the arrow once again onto Jiff, but Tox is the one that gets taunted, and he has nothing left. And this fight is very split, or the whole team is very split on the side of Cleaver Ashe, with their jungler still pushing the top lane. This dive continues now. Jiff gets picked. Glitchheart goes down as well, and that's 3 kills. The only 2 members that did not fall on the side of Cleaver Ashe are the 2 that were absent in that fight. Keimani is still going for this push.
Solid follow-up CC by both of the teams to help make things through, and so just like that, you're going to see the turret going down. Now, meanwhile, while this all was happening, we have to remember this was a 4v5 because Keimani was in the top side of the map pushing things across and securing him turret of his own. So you've got a mid-tier 2 turret going down as well as a top-tier 2 turret going down as well. So that's going to be, in my opinion, quite favorable on the side of Cleaver Ashe. They lost multiple members, but they're able to keep the minions pushed up. And so when that Elder Drake spawns in the next few minutes, they're going to be able to push up the wave and have that much more cross-lane pressure. But all the while, it's just back and forth, back and forth. We had about a 2,000, 3,000 rather gold lead in favor of Cleaver Ashe, but now that's been reduced to 2,000. So slowly but surely, you can see the members of Delta Airplanes trying to crawl back.
And it's worth noting that that top inhibitor turret actually took a very significant beating as well, down to about 20% health, maybe even lower at this point. So definitely worth keeping in mind that if Nightbolt or the rest of Cleaver Ashe were to group up and go for that push, that would be a very, very quick push for them. It wouldn't take them very much time at all. This blue buff stolen right out from under the nose of Inspire by Jiff and Keimani. And they're looking to equalize this wave in the top side. While Delta Airplanes are still forced to respond mid, as they did lose their inhibitor earlier. It's still not back up, just actually respawned as I say that, of course. So that announcement coming through. And arrow goes a little bit wide for Mama Dennis, so that's one major piece of Delta Airplanes engaged now missing for the next few seconds.
You're going to get some poke coming out. Ooh, that's a lot on a Mama Dennis, the one member you do not want to be able to have that on. As you can see, the double Zeal being completed on both of these 80 carries. Jif finally has the guys I got hit by an arrow again defender with that a quick Silver Slash being completed. You do not have one on the side for Mama Dennis, but the third item, Death Dance, being completed on the Marmalade Toast is something they're going to have to definitely be concerned about. The Scuttle Crab goes down, and you can just see the constant back and forth. Do we do it? Do we not do it? Where do we want to go in? Diff is going to get some attacks through, but he needs to be careful because if he gets caught out and he does get done and through quick, things are going to be very scary. As they have decided to make the executive decision, it is the Baron that we want to go for. And here we are. It's going to be coming up very soon. Each fire is going to take a lot of barrel damage. You're going to have to be careful, but here comes the
engage. Yeah, Mama Dennis completely caught out and deleted. Now Yo-Yo Bro is in the middle of the enemy team. He gets a 4-man taunt, but there's no follow-up left. Inspire has already decided to back away from this fight. And, well, they see the Baron's going to be attempted, so actually the Delta Airplanes, they got that wave mid earlier. They're looking to make that push happen now while Inspire goes for
they have
the
a ward.
steal.
You have to remember this. There is the ward in there. And so Sean is not the same level.
He's now spotted.
Below.
They didn't stop the damage, but it doesn't quite matter. Inspire's a little bit slow on the draw there, and now the recall is coming through. Marmalade Toast and Stanley are able to get that push in the mid lane, and they get the mid inhib turret opened up. I felt like that was really well played from Delta Airplanes overall. Even though they lost the fight, they managed their waves properly so that it was kind of a lose-lose for Cleaver Ashe anyway, because if
look at what you lose in the process, because you pushed yourself up and you forced yourself back so quickly, and Sean died immediately to that Baron. That's going to be essentially a free Elder Dragon here. I'm not too sure Mama Dennis can pull the 2 on the volley. It's not even going to have time. No one's going to be there, and the Elder Drake goes down. It's only one Drake in the favor of Cleaver Ashe, but all the while it is still denying the three Elder Dragon buff that you could potentially have on the side for DAP, as well as the Baron buff. And so this is going to be an easy inhibitor onto the mid lane, as well as an easy quick rotation on the bot side of the map if they so choose.
They just need that wave push a little bit further up for them to have that snap response time. Shift over to that bottom lane, but Mama Dennis chunked to about half off of just a single barrel, and we are going to see that continue. And another pause as Expire seems to be having a little bit of a ping issue as well. So now we can reset a little bit, or take a breather, take a little bit of a step back as the siege is happening. Baron and Elder over to the side of Cleaver Ashe. Where do you see Delta Airplanes really being able to find an opening here? Who do they have to take down?
Yeah, I think the difficulty is that they just don't have gold in where they need the gold to be had. Mama Dennis is struggling severely. When that Infinity Edge gets completed, then sure, that might be something. But you don't have anything to prevent the healing and the massive damage that Tox already has. Through and through, it's the Vladimir that's severely damaging Delta Airplanes at this time. And so without any real reason to deny and get him away, then things are going to be a struggle for you. And that implies that you have some sort of heal reduction on him. Without Grievous Wounds being applied, he's going to be continuously able to just push, heal, kill, through and through. And without a hard mage in the mid lane, you're not going to have Morello enough to apply that Grievous Wounds. And you don't have anything of the sort onto your AD damage with those as well. So it's very scary. And look how quickly Yo-Yo is going down after this.
Yeah, he is really trying hard to be the tank that his team needs, and, well, maybe he has. He walked it off for now, but I feel like he's going to go down very, very soon. He doesn't have any health left to make anything more happen. Stanley has already fallen. Marmalade Toast was the next focus, but he's able to inch it out as well. Now Expired taking a chunk of damage all of a sudden. Both the Nexus turrets have already fallen. The Nexus is under fire, and Tox is trying to run his way out of there. But yeah, the Nexus falls on the opposite side, and that is going to be game number 1 over to the side of Cleaver Ashe.
And very swiftly, in the span of 2 minutes, they go from Baron to Elder Dragon to winning the game. such a quick victory, and that's honestly the last like oomph that they needed to be able to push things through. And a huge piece of that was because of what Toxelry was able to do. Jif got caught out a couple too many times. Glitchheart was able to hit some very clutch bubbles, but it was through and through the Toxelry hitting those ultimates and just being able to be such an impressive force. There was that one instance near the tier 1 blue side mid turret where Toxelry just used the proto belt and essentially one-shot the Mama Dennis with the full combo. And when you're in those situations at that point in the game, that was only at like a 30-minute mark, then things are definitely going well for your team. He only finishes 3, 2, and 8, but severely altered the team in as much as possible. And so it doesn't matter how strong that Fiora was getting in the top lane. It doesn't matter how hard carrying Inkspire was on a lot of his flashy plays. When you're not able to shut down the enemy's strongest player, then it doesn't matter how strong you are. Things aren't going to go as well in your favor.
But with all of that said, guys, we still have at least one more game up to 2, as this is a best of 3. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with game number 2 in the North American Bronze and Silver Finals between the Delta Airplanes and Cleaver Ashe. Don't touch that browser. I can't. Hey, well, okay. Welcome back, everyone, to Learning Fives. This is still the Bronze and Silver finals, and this is game number 2. This time, I cannot see Champ Select.
I told you you weren't in the lobby, but of course I'm a dummy dum-dum and you can't fucking believe me.
I mean, I can see chat. I thought being able to see chat.
I'm just saying. You gotta listen to me.
I don't know.
It's fine. It's whatever.
It's okay.
So
Survive.
what's up? We're gonna do a blind pick band phase. Wait, can't you just exit lobby, and then just
I can't
go
spec off you and Champ Select.
Yeah, just spec off of me at Champ Select. Yep.
I can't do that to get into Champ Select. I can do it after. So, anyway, I'll just watch the stream.
That sounds good. All right, so we're doing the first pick bands done very, very quickly. We finally got them to get an LCS order, so things are hopping, popping, and ready to rock and roll. It is going to be the Galio, the Gragas, as well as the Lulu being banned away from Delta Airplanes, as they are now on the red side, as well as the Amumu, the Vladimir, and the Zac being banned away. So the Caitlyn being first picked up, they want that into Jif's hands. They know that he's capable on the Caitlyn, so things can go right in there. And then it's going to be the Karma being picked up for Stanley yet again, as well as the second pick that they are deciding and seeing what they have to do. Again, we did see that they finally are in LCS order after some stomping, some berating, and some popping offs. We finally made it happen, as it is going to be the Varus that's locked in. So a change of plans now. It's not going to be Mama Dennis on that Ashe anymore. It's going to be on that Varus.
I kind of like the Varus. He's popping up more and more recently. I made note of the Blitzcrank kind of popping up a little bit more often now in the LCS, and Varus is kind of in a similar boat. He brings quite a lot of wave clear. I think he's a pretty powerful duelist with the more attack speed focused build that we're seeing right now, and he brings fairly similar pick potential as the Ashe. Not quite as powerful, but he does still bring that to the table, as we do actually see the Blitzcrank locked in this time, not banned away. So that will be good to adding to the pick potential of Cleaver Ashe, I feel, alongside that Warwick and Caitlyn that they brought before. Any in interesting pick here.
Yeah, so the Warwick and the Blitzcrank come out. So you're gonna have the Blitzcrank coming out from Glitchheart, so things a little bit different. That Annie is actually a placeholder for the Graves, so it's gonna be a Graves jungle for Inkspire. So a little bit of difference. So for those of you who are watching, that is a placeholder pick to keep the sanctity of the pick ban phase. We are doing placeholder picks to make things a little bit easier and see what they have, as now the second wave of picks of bans rather are coming out. The Lucian being banned away again, the Fiora coming off, and so that's going to be 2 huge picks being taken off the board there for both of these teams. And so now the final ban coming out here from Delta Airplanes as they are going to figure out what and where and why and how. It's going to be the Gangplank being thought of, so both of the top laners that we had the last time are going to be done and through. Not going to be used this time, so they're going to have to change up their champion pools just a little bit.
Yeah, seeing the Fiora taking off the table is actually very significant, not only in that it's taking that champion away, but Fiora is very oppressive to tanks specifically. She absolutely loves laning against tanks, and in response, scares off a lot of tank picks. So, seeing the Fiora taken off the table opens up a lot of different top laners other than the Gangplank, other than the Rumble, other than the Renekton that we were talking about in the last game, as that we expected to see. So, this actually has a much wider impact on the game than maybe does at first glance. And okay, so yeah, Orianna being locked in for the Delta Airplanes as their mid laner, so that Annie is still Graves. We could see a Mundo here. Mundo is pretty much the definition of a huge health-based tank that would be countered by Fiora. I think that's pretty much a perfect response to seeing her taken off the table.
Yeah, and so now you've got the Cassidy being picked up. Remember, Cassidy was banned away in Game 1. They want to make sure that they can put that here into Game 2. And the Kennen as well. So we're going to see the AD Kennen top lane to see what does and through with that. I'm interested to see how Nightvolt changes up his playstyle to see off a little bit more of oppressive nature with that Kennen. The double teleport is going to be available for them, so something interesting on that end. We did have the Orianna being picked up for the first rotation there, so a lot of power, and the Shen as well. So now we have a little bit more of an engaged setup coming out of Delta Airplanes to help things out. We are going to have a queue reset as hopefully or they're going to get things back into the lobby. Let me see if they can, let me make sure they can invite you. Hi, invite Blaster, please. He got kicked. Do. So they're going to get things in the lobby to help get things stuff out for you guys real quick. We are going to take our quick little music break. We should be in the next few minutes, guys, for Game 2 here of the NA Bronze Finals between Delta Airplanes and Cleaver Ashe.
in this Middle Eastern jungle.
When that 40 in, when that dream team all played out and they hit the bench, I just step back, let me soak it in. I seen the ups and downs, so I get it now. I was born to win. It's my time, your time, my turn, I can't lie. Waiting for that one spark, my one hope to catch fire. I'm fine, I'm high, like rain through that sunshine. Trying to man this so bold, I'm the captain man when it's crunch time. I don't care if I'm getting paid, need the week, but I get the day. Wide awake when I need sleep, I'm knee deep, but I set the way. Focused on that one mistake, let it free, don't let it break. Fuck it all, I'm turning in, my cellies off the greatest escape. Ain't nothing gonna hold us, put the devil to the side. Got an angel on my shoulder, and I'm like, hello, it's good to finally let go. Yeah, I like to keep it moving.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 of the North American Bronze-Silver Finals. Here for Learning Fives, the potential final game here. My name is Jump, and I'm going to be running the play-by-play for this game. Doing a little bit of a role swap. I'm joined here by Mr. Blaster Boy, and just like that, a pause has already started.
Very familiar place, similar to last game. Yeah, we are onto the Rift though, for the most part. And there's not even like a ton to talk about at this point, but I can finally see the comps. That's an improvement. So I want to talk about those a little bit. Firstly, I want to bring attention to the fact that Yo-Yo Bros has seemingly role swapped with Marmalade Toast in between the top and mid lanes. So he is in the top lane now, Yo-Yo Bros, instead of the mid like last time. So we're going to see him on a bit more, well, a similarly supportive role actually, as he is playing the Shen this time. And instead of the Galio, pretty similar play styles overall, even though he was the mid laner last time. So we'll see how this ends up going. But we do have a couple interesting new picks that I want to talk a little bit about as well. The Kennen was banned away the last time, as well as the Kassadin and Blitz. So on paper, based on the responses of the Delta airplanes last time, or their preemptive bans rather, on paper this is almost maybe a better composition for as far as comfort picks go for the side of Cleaver Ashe's. 3 of these 5 champions, 2 of them they just won on, the other 3 were all banned away from them preemptively last time. So I want to see how they end up doing on this. The Blitz is very interesting, coming into quite a lot of popularity recently in the North American and European LCS, seeing play in both regions, if I'm recalling correctly, and maybe more globally. I haven't really kept up with all that too much, but I believe there have been a couple Blitz, if I'm remembering correctly.
Now, Blitz has definitely been popping up. Blitz has actually been forcing some bans out of some teams, believe it or not, depending on the depending on a lot of the just playmaking ability of the supports in general. So it's definitely something to kind of be considered, but it's going to be up to Glitchheart to hit those hooks, as well as Jif to adequately follow up with the trap. Because if you can follow up with the trap and get that that essential, I think if you add it up, it's like 4 seconds of stun or something similar to that. If you can get that up and get that damage off, things are great. But that revolves in hitting those hooks, and with the speed up that Stanley can provide, then that's going to have to be something that's like definitely taken into consideration.
Yeah, fortunately, can't recall if it's been a specific response to the Blitz, but we have been seeing Morgana pop up more and more. There is no Black Shield to completely negate the effectiveness of that hook or anything in this game, fortunately. So the speed up will definitely help from Stanley, but nothing as crazy as a Black Shield. But we are going to see an invade here, as you do with the Blitzcrank. A bit more aggressive than last time, but they are just going to get vision, get spotted out, and take that all the way back to their own jungle. Vision will be dropped on the opposite side in response from the side of Cleaver Ashe.
Yep. And so they're going to get a little bit of vision. They're going to know exactly where he is going to start, although you do see a nice little invade here. There is no knowledge coming from blue side on if this is happening. They didn't decide to pop a ward onto it. Nightvolt is just chilling, doing his own breakdance by his own tower. So he's not going to be able to know any way or any direction on where exactly they are in about. As we are going to get in that final 10 seconds, it is going to be very interesting. This is now 2 times in a row that we've seen Inkspire actually decide to go for some sort of an invade onto the top side of his enemy's jungle. It started off as a 3 buff. Now it ended up as the very first buff starting off into it. So really solid effort by him to be able to have things done off and through, as Imani is going to pick up his own red buff, rather, and he's going to get started into the lanes.
Yeah, and I quite like this response, but it is going to be spotted out, unfortunately. So the proper response here from Keimani would be to just maybe take another camp so that he can try to go for the level 3 off the next buff. But he needs to invade ultimately and try to get that blue buff for himself now, since he knows that his own has been taken away.
Yep, but instead it looks like he is just going to be farming up those wolves to start things off. Now, I'm really interested to see how Marmalade Toast is going to be able to handle switching things up into the mid lane and pushing onto Toxelry. You do have an advantage as an Orianna early in the auto attack trading that you can onto that Kassadin rather, and believe it or not, an Orianna should be able to handle even close to post 6 handling things into the mid lane, but the pot has already been tossed onto things as the constant poke from Toxelry is coming out as he's farming up mid lane quite well, and we see Blitzheart and Jip at that level 2 just waiting, hoping to try to get something done with these hooks.
Yeah, all it takes is a half a second of a misstep, and Glitchheart landing that hook to suddenly turn everything on its head. That's the thing about Blitz lanes. They seem very passive, and it seems like, man, nothing's happening here. But then all of a sudden, like, you can feel like you're doing really well, but it just takes one misstep, and all of a sudden, the Blitz has been effective, and maybe you flashed. You just straight up died. It really depends on how it all pans out. But ultimately, the lanes get disrupted very, very quickly with Blitz being involved.
The thing, however, that you do have from DAP that they can abuse with this Blitzcrank is because Blitzcrank's essential usage goes down tremendously if he's unable to hit that hook. There is a lot of poke, there is a lot of excess damage that Mama Dennis and Stanley do have at their disposal. So if that hook is missed, then they have that 10-11 second window to be able to come up into the lane a little bit more and to make things happen. As we see Marmalade Toast going very low in mana, trying to do everything they can to poke that Toxelry down. But you're going to have to do more auto attacks on that if you want to be finding yourself a little bit more successful. Nightvolt getting that nice little stun on the Yo-Yo Bros. They're going to be trading back and forth. Kennen getting things through. Is Keimani going to get caught out by Inkspire? That is a red buff. And it doesn't look like anything is going to happen as the fear forces Inkspire to go away. And so he's going to now be able to do that nice little 3 buff the same way that he did it in the last time, going right over to his blue and keeping up that early mana and CDR to help him through the early.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, I think just about everything has been about par for course, but the mid lane, maybe, in terms of, Mama Dennis, maybe a bit caught out here.
They're going to have it. It's not going to be able to hit onto the cake trap, but instead they are still going to have lots of damage. There isn't any heal, there isn't anything crazy blown. So it's just going to be a lot of poke, it's going to be a lot of something. The Ignite
coming
is down,
in.
Flashes are up, Jip doesn't have that red buff available anymore. That's a lot of damage. He's going to force the flash as well as the mana shield on the Glitchheart. So he's going to be down a lot now. Both summoners done up and through. So nice little bank start by Inkspire. It was a little bit delayed, but all the rather, he gets the vision that he wants, drops the ward into the Trigus to help out his team, and decides to just run away.
So far, measuring up in terms of farm, Marmalade Toast has had Tox pushed in for pretty much the entire lane up until now, but he is still down about 10 CS, not quite focusing as much on farming as he is on harassing Tox in that lane, trying to keep him down. And this is not great because now Tox is already level 6.
Tox is level 6, and as a result, he's going to be able to quite easily jump in and out and damage Marmalade Toast a little bit. You can see, despite the constant effort on poking that Marmalade Toast has been trying to do, you still have 2 waves of CS advantage on a Toxery, and so stellar effort by him to make sure that he stays in the lead as much as possible, despite that blue buff going out on Marmalade Toast.
Marmalade Toast going to have to just kind of hang in there a little bit longer. Try to pick some of the CS up now and try to close this deficit that he's kind of ended up in. But on a bit more of a positive note for the side of the airplanes, Yo-Yo Bros is doing pretty well up in this top lane. He's got a little bit of a farm lead. He is sustaining up very well. Nightvolt has already recalled, in fact, and Yo-Yo is still holding up in this lane, but maybe that all changes right now.
I'm not too sure he has a damage. He is going to force the flash out of Yo-Yo Bros. I like the effort to use the taunt because you have so many minions there, but he wasn't able to realize that he still had the ultimate available on a Nightvolt. And so that's going to be a flash done. No more flash. Taunt's going to be available for the next 5 minutes, so they're going to have to take a break and a breather. But the ultimate is available onto the Shen, and so he can help his team if another crazy hook comes out of Glitch Heart or if Toxery starts running too deep onto one.
Yeah, and the safety that this Shen brings is actually great for how aggressively pretty much the entire lineup of Cleaver Ashe wants to go. When the Kassadin jumps in, he doesn't have very many ways out. He maybe will have his flash, but his ult will be a couple seconds out still. He's going to be committed for a good while. And similarly with the bottom lane, once you pull someone in on Blitz, unless they run away, they really have no reason to if the Shen is going to back them up, and suddenly you may have put yourself in a kind of risky position where it's a very evident... Oh, wow, Glitch Heart.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So he wanted to go up and get the knockup, but it didn't end up going through. But uh-oh. Look at Inkspire. Oh no!
Oh! What?
Hello, thank you. I will take that. As he's able to smite the blue buff away, Toxery does him a nice little roundabout. They ring around the bush, and it ends up being another stolen buff into the favor of Inspire. So a great job by him to continuously put Kaime on the back foot. Now, Goo, to Kaimani's advantage, he has been able to keep up his CS and make things a little bit easier for him there. Yeah. So at least that is being done despite the buff being taken away. Nightvolt did go back, was able to pick up that Vamp Scepter, but Bombi Cinder was being picked up by Yo-Yo. Every time he gets something done is Marmalade Toast now. He's getting the damage. As Toxery is starting to get to that point where he's able to combat this Orianna pretty handily. And if he's able to roam efficiently and try to get himself ahead further the way that he did the last game, he's certainly going to be able to affect the lanes pretty well. On the Dennis, looks like he's going to have to go into it. The flash comes out, but you're going to have the roots to make something happen. You've got ultimate available on Mama Dennis. It's going to go down onto Jif, but they're not going to be able to get it as the last tick of the Ignite goes down. First blood for Glitch Heart and the side of Blue.
I don't think it's exactly what they wanted to... I don't think it's exactly what they planned on the result being, killing off Stanley there instead of Mama Dennis, but it definitely worked out, and they're absolutely happy with that pickup already, and we're seeing this sort of aggressive blitz play pay off so far, and he's going to be able to make more roams like we saw the attempt onto Marmalade Toast before happen, since he has already rushed the mobility boots. So expect to see this blitz looking to just straight up walk up to people and look for these hook plays, and if he's able to land them consistently, then flashes will be forced, kills will be found in otherwise wow, words are hard, a situation otherwise completely devoid of action. Like I said before, the Blitz completely facilitates action kind of out of nowhere in a lot of cases, and that was definitely one of those instances.
Yeah, and you take a look at what you saw from looking at the differences from last game coming into this game. You had fairly even CS advantages, or CS counts, only one being the top lane between Marmalade playing top lane at the time and Nightvolt. But now you're seeing advantages in every single position. Top, jungle, AD carry, mid, as well as even support, even though that doesn't necessarily count as much considering the Targons that he has available. And so with that, not only was that kill going into their pocket, but they're now up almost 2,000 gold at the 11-minute mark. They have a team that spikes very hard in the mid-game. When Jif talks about a Nightvolt flow with 2 items, things get very strong, things get very scary for the enemy team, and so they're going to be doing the best that they can to have it, but not until Inkspire has something to say about it. Teleport coming in, there's going to be the Shockwave to have something. Glitchheart's going to flash out, though. Is he going to hit the hook? He is going to hit it on a Stanley. The Toxer's going to go in. Jif's going to end up picking that kill up, but the 3-man ultimate coming out of Mama Dennis. Inkspire's going to have it. He's going to miss the stuff, but he's going to go down to Toxery as there's just so much damage there. Nice little effort by Toxery to try to get something done, but that last auto attack by Mama Dennis is going to end up pushing it through, as well as the Stand United to help out survive from Marmalade. And so it's going to end up being a 1-for-2 trade in favor of the blue side, despite the hardcore gank that Inkspire did through.
Yeah, and that was a really, really crazy fight. Aggression started by the side of the Delta Airplanes, but the Blitz once again paying off and turning that fight around even just a moment. Netted them 1 kill for 1 in the end, and they forced Yo-Yo Bros to come out of that top lane while he was chunked down to a quarter of his health, so he couldn't facilitate any further plays. He was just kind of defending his ally and picking up the pieces there. Since you did touch on the relic before, as we see the top turret fall, first brick of the game over to Cleaver Ashe. It's worth noting that with this support gold lead, though, the aggressive placement made me see the mobility boost. We saw the mobility boost be picked up a few minutes ago, and now the Sightstone already to back that up. The relic shield, Glitchheart has earned about double the gold of Stanley with just his gold item alone. So he is doing really, really well to control this lane to keep this Karma down, because poking is not something that's outside of Karma's vocabulary. She should be able to get quite a lot of money from the spell thieves very easily, but the opportunities have not really presented themselves, and Glitchheart is able to set the pace, set the bar, as we see this bottom turret fall. Kimani caught out in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, Inkspire tries to want to have something, but I don't think you want to go into the scary Toxery.
He will be able
Look at
to
the damage
escape,
that he
though.
has
In
without
the
even
end,
auto-attacking.
Toxery jumping in there a little bit to just kind of scare everyone off, make sure everybody backs away, everybody stays in their place.
Just back him off, back him simple, as now 4,000 gold is in favor here for Delta Airplanes. The struggles that they had in the early game last time are not having it through, as the first back of Nightvolt, or second back rather, he's able to get Booth as well as that Blade of Runes. He's going to go in on a Yo-Yo throw to try to make something happen. There's going to be the dodge auto attacks are gone. He does have Flash available, but there's that last final stun. Is he going to be able to get it? He's going to have to force the Flash. That last Q is there. All he needs is that one more skill shot. Is he going to be able to get it? It is not going to be there, just out of range. Short arms aren't able to throw those shurikens as far as what he might hope, and he's going to get out alive.
No, Kimani is not done, though.
He gets it.
He gets it.
Overall, he's able to get it, and that's now going to be Glitchheart wanting to come in. Toxery here. Shockwave is available, so they're going to have to be careful. Oh, able to get two to get away, but there's going to be Ace of the Hole trying to come out. Not going to be able to pick up the kill, as now it's Inkspire going after Nightvolt. Going to get stunned away and through, as Toxery is still on the chase. Wants blood for themselves, but instead they're just going to be able to settle with the red buff and walk away.
Tables turned on Inkspire here. He's going to get a buff stolen from him this time. Oh man, what an interesting trade in the top lane. That was incredibly close, and the thing that made it was the tier 2 boots from Yo-Yo Bros. Not only did he block a little bit, just 10% of the auto attack damage from Nightvolt for auto, but the movement speed was able to just eke him out of there at the very last second. Only temporarily, though, as Kimani did end up picking up the kill regardless, but we're seeing the aggression and the control of the map coming through from Cleaver Ashe right now. I mean, they just ventured through the enemy jungle off the back of an aggressive top lane play, and they're going to be able to keep doing that. They need to be warding aggressively to facilitate that, though, and the vision is slightly lacking now, but the 2 control wards are definitely a very solid start.
Yeah, and what you're seeing here is a much more crisp effort this game than what you saw in the last game coming out of Cleaver Ashe. When in game 1 they were struggling on what to do in the mid game and where exactly to get their objectives, you know that in the post game lobby and in the in between phase between game 1 and 2, Execute Plan C was telling his team, look, we're making sure that we're getting ourselves ahead, but we're not doing anything with those advantages. And so we have to make sure we do this, or else their teamfight composition that they might decide to choose will end up coming away victorious. So as a result, they're being much crisper, much cleaner. And now they've got 2 turrets, a 4,500 gold lead at 16 minutes on the dot, and even distribution of resources across the board. And that's kind of the biggest tell for me, is everyone is getting involved. As blue turret does go down, the first turret of the game for Delta Airplanes, as you're going to have a nice little swap from Yo-Yo Bros to go down onto there. But meanwhile, you're having Jiff getting caught out. This isn't the place that he wants to be at. There is his red buff, so he is going to be able to get walking away safely as Inkspire doesn't decide he wants to go onto that. But K-Money is here wanting to join to make sure that he backs away to protect his AD carry.
Yeah, and that is a lot of what we're seeing this game, honestly. Like, there are a lot of instances of people just backing each other up on the side of Cleaver Ashe. Members just roaming around. Everybody's backing each other. We saw it before in the trade in the top lane. Nightbolt almost got a kill. K-Money's up there instantly to pick up the pieces there and aggressing down bottom a little bit to chase people off. Tox doing that in the river before everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, and they're more than willing to even make a little bit of a sacrifice in their rotation timing or in their farm to make sure that everybody is getting out safely and securely. And now we might actually see a Herald attempt, the first one of this series. It looks like it will be started off.
Yep, it's going to have 4 of the 5 members. Teleport available on a Nightbolt if he wants to decide to join the fray. You're going to have the Scrying Orb that's going to realize them. Inkspire is going to just barely miss out from the hook of Glitchheart, and there's going to be a no contest as the Rift Trail is going to get picked up. It's going to get put into the hands of Toxelry. He's got that mobility. He's going to have to be able to move around the map when and wherever he wants to do. And they have plenty of opportunities to move things down, as you've got a bot lane turret, or a bot lane wave rather, being built up in favor of Cleaver Ashe. You've still got Nightbolt doing his thing onto the top side of the map. And so here is where things could get really spicy in favor of Cleaver Ashe if they can take advantage and decide to use his Rift Herald appropriately.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where they end up using it. It seems like it's mostly down to personal preference or team preference, but I found that the best time to use it tends to be when it'll take a few seconds for the opposing team to respond. Otherwise, it doesn't really get all that much done. You need to have at least one whole wave, it seems, to be able to very comfortably take down a turret. And it looks like they will be throwing that top. There's going to be a little bit of response time on the team. There's no wave clear from the Shen, effectively. He just has the Sunfire, and this turret is already low, so the Rift Herald's actually just going to one-shot this here.
Yeah, it's going to one-shot. It's going to be done and through. And you have to think about what you're seeing as a result coming from Delta Airplanes. You've got Inkspire. He's going to be trying to take away this dragon, but instead, you're going to be having a lot of damage being come out of Jiff. That IE definitely does a heck of a lot of damage. As now you're going to have things moving around. The Rift Herald goes down to the top lane, but it doesn't matter. You can see K-Money going straight for this Inkspire. Is he going to be able to get it? No, he's not, as it forces the ultimate out of Yo-Yo Bros. And so the fear of that Warwick coming onto you is enough to force the team to have a hard disengage, and as a result, it looks like they're going to get a very free Cloud Drake.
Yeah, a little bit of panic there as K-Money had actually missed his ultimate already, or is actively flying over the wall. So can't really fault a proper response, but it was a little bit hair trigger there from the side of the Delta Airplanes, and that's going to cost them now. Now they don't have a really big advantage in being able to get across the map and to be able to save people from these Blitzcrank picks. And that's why we see Glitchheart going for that play immediately, even though his team is a little bit behind him. The opportunity is just way too good to pass up, and there's so much quick follow-up. Everybody that needs to get there. Caitlyn, of course, just has pretty ridiculous range, but
Mama Dennis
no,
is gonna get caught out, gonna fail flash over the wall. Ace in the hole, gonna be able to final pickup, and just like that, it's gonna be Jif taking away the solo split push man himself. He's going to end up going 2-0-2, a much better showing than what he had there in game 1. The turret is going to go down. Toxery is going to be able to back. He does have the teleport to join the party, again, if he wants to, but instead it looks like they're just going to push up a huge wave. It's going to get cleared off semi-straight with Inkspire there to try to help things up, and so they're just going to disengage, go with the waves, reset, and buy with all that they have, because they're certainly steamrolling this game up almost 8,000 gold onto their opponent, much better than what they were in game 1.
Yeah, and that pick on Mama Dennis, I want to just jump back to that for a moment. That kind of exemplified the point that I was making at the time, which is this Kassadin, Warwick, and Kennen all have ridiculously fast response times. Since they have very good mobility across the board, when this Blitz gets a hook, 3 members can very quickly jump on to that target and pick them off and then push further forward. That's exactly what happened to Mama Dennis there. Obviously, the fail flash didn't help his escape, but the very quick response of just saying, hey, I think the Varus is around this corner. We saw him walk this direction. He should be right here. And everybody collapsing on him from 2 directions, and even Jif jumping in on the fun with that ace in the hole from the bottom lane while he was still maintaining that split push. Fantastic showing so far in this game from Cleaver Ashe, and they're looking pretty comfortable. Inspire, he is not.
Oh, another ace in the hole is not going to be able to pick it up, but Glitchheart takes it away with that lovely, lovely ignite, as now Nightvolt is being done. The same thing he's done all game. Let's just split push top lane and make everything a little bit happier, as he's not going to be able to fully kill on the Yo-Yo Bro. There's just too much tankiness and too much armor for him to push through, but it's still going to give his team the opportunity to push into the mid lane. You don't have the damage coming out from the Graves, and so they can easily push in and come through. That's going to be the final inner ring turret going down, so only the inhibitor turrets as well as the Nexus turrets remains, as now Yo-Yo Bros is going to try to go hard, but he's going to get stunned up, and it's going to get immediately disengaged. And so now with the stun with the stun not available anymore, Flash is the only thing left to get out alive, but it's not going to be needed, as Toxery doesn't quite yet have the damage to push through and kill the team, as they're going to just do everything they can to sweep onto this top side of the map and potentially think about going for the Baron next.
Yeah, and they are putting down this preemptive vision control to facilitate that sort of movement, and there's not going to be a lot of room for the side of the Delta Airplanes to clean up a lot of this. They have a little bit of time here off of the back of some recalls from the side of Cleaver Ashe, but the Scuttle Crab is still going to be, they're still going to be visioned down very likely. Now Inspire, no, getting picked off.
Half a second before Yo-Yo Bros was able to join that fight. The most unlucky of all unluckies, and something that you have to consistently reward them for is that they're always winning these fights. They're always making sure that they get these picks without Jif there, and so that's allowing Jif to just constantly farm up and get even more of a lead over Mama Dennis. 2-0-3 is an amicable stat line, but when you're almost 50 CS over your lane opponent, that's when you know you're doing something correct. So it's leaving it to just a prime position for them moving forward.
Yeah, definitely, and we're still seeing these blitz picks come through. And honestly, like I do want to commend the Delta Airplanes for their very quick responses. They're still communicating properly, and they're still keeping an eye on the map. Spire got hooked, instant Channel. The Orianna was there, threw the ball onto him. It wasn't enough in the end, and getting picked like that is definitely not good from the side from Inspire. But the team as a whole seems to be pretty coherent overall. Now Nightvolt going in, and this is getting turned.
It's not going to be too much left for them. Mama Dennis is going to have lots of damage. Inspire doesn't have much of a slow, doesn't have the ult. It's almost yet available, but the nice little hook coming out of Glitchheart is going to end up taking away the victory. Toxery going to Rift Walk away. As the ace in the hole comes out, it's going to do very minimal damage on a Yo-Yo Bros, but all the while, they're able to pick up 2 kills that they can push forward towards this inhibitor. Kaimani has the ultimate. He's going to go onto the Shen. Not too sure, but a nice hook coming out of Glitchheart again. They're going to be able to pick up the kill. Jif is going to go on a killing spree. and you're going to have the final member left alive. He's a tanky Shen. He's going to do everything he can to defend, but just like that, it's going to be a very solid ace coming out for the side of Cleaver Ashe.
Yeah, Nightbolt dies, but at what cost for the side of Delta Airplanes? They get ace. They're going to lose their inhib turret. Marmalade Toast respawns and falls once more.
Gonna have to be
Almost
very,
immediately.
very careful from here moving forward as that middle inhibitor does go down. Dragon is alive, so they're gonna go down and get that next Drake. It's gonna be an Ocean Drake, which is gonna help them a lot on these rotational sprees that they're having with all of the pushes. And Jif has most certainly stepped up this game, but you have to give it again over to Toxray. This is 2 games in a row where not only has he dominated his lane opponent, 2 different lane opponents, mind you,
Yeah.
but he's been able to consistently affect himself in team fights. And as only 2 members being fallen in this game, it's much better, much crisper of a game than what we saw in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Near perfect game level here. I mean, only 2 very close deaths. Like, Nightbolt just died at the very last second in the previous fight. It was only 1 kill for the entirety of the Delta Airplanes for about 23 or so minutes up until just recently. And even still, it's not like that 1 kill has pulled them much closer to, pulled them significantly closer to being able to bounce back in this game. They're still hurting real bad, and Tox is still looking for more picks.
No. Ace of the Hole is going to try to get something. Toxray still not able to pick up that kill, but it forces the ultimate out of Yo-Yo Bros, as well as forces Inkspire to go back, and with the amount of damage that they have, they're most certainly going to be going for the Baron next. Only 1 ward in the pit. It's going to get cleared out by Glitchheart. Toxray doing a very smart positioning and putting himself in between the enemy team and the Baron to dissuade anybody that comes through and across, and it's going to be Yo-Yo Bros that he pushes through and away, and without any sort of response, Inkspire still in the team base. It's going to be Baron Nashor going down by Cleaver Ashe. Glitchheart going to try to get it. He's going to get onto the carry. A rampage is being done and through by Toxray as they're going to get rooted in place by that Varus ultimate, but it doesn't matter as they're going to have the power. They're going to have the Baron, and it looks like they're pushing for more.
Yeah, I love this call to go top instead of just trying to run through mid. Incredibly smart and very quick shot calling there. They realized before they even got to the mid lane, and they were steps away. That was where their chase led them. Before they even stepped foot into the mid lane, they realized we don't need to be here. We need to be top lane instead. That is the closest wave. That is the best opportunity to take this further. That Baron just died so quickly. The damage per second from this composition is just immense. And Glitchheart is still just playing Bouncer on the front lines. Second inhib will now fall. Got supers in the mid lane still. They can try to push for more. Another wave filing in on top, but they won't take that risk. They're will back off instead.
Much happier being cautious and safe, even though they've got well over a 15,000 gold lead. Making sure that you stay methodical and you don't give your team, the enemy team, any sort of slack, any sort of possibility to be able to come back. Things are going to be much better in your favor. 28 minutes, 40 seconds into the game. Like what we said, 15,000 gold into the pocket to Cleaver Ashe. They never got higher than a 5,000 gold lead in the entirety of last game, but now they're sitting at 15,000 pre-30-minute mark. The last game going the full 40 minutes, but now they are just in an unstoppable manner and an unstoppable fashion as every piece of the puzzle is lining up perfectly for them on every twist and turn, and it is all due into the fact that they're making joint efforts. It obviously helps that your Blitzcrank is landing your hooks as well. I mean, you know, that's kind of a nice one, but every member is doing their part in making sure that they're getting involved and playing their role accordingly. Nightvolt is pushing in the top side of the map. Glitchheart is doing everything that he can as a Blitz to just be Blitz. Jif is finally fixing his positioning and prioritizing that backline threat a lot better. And then Toxray doing things just like this and going extraordinarily hard. The exhaust just doesn't matter as he's going to come in and pick up that kill. The unstoppable tag is put back onto him as he flashes through the shockwave. Still has the Zhonya's Hourglass available if he needs that extra piece of defense, but instead it looks like they're just going to take down the third inhibitor, and all seems but not here for Delta Airplanes as they're going onto the first Nexus turret. The 80 carry is dead. Inkspire not really going to be able to do things. He's going to go down almost immediately, forces the Zhonya's Hourglass out of Toxery, but all the while, that's going to be Nexus turret number 2 going down, and raw damage being pushed up from every member across the board, and it doesn't look like there's going to be anything else. And just like that, 30 minutes, 20 seconds into the game, that's going to be a Game 2 victory, as well as the championship trophy for Cleaver, Ashe, and the rest of their squad.
Yeah, fantastic showing from them. I loved how methodically they played that out towards the end of the game. Their style of going through for all of the inhibs, going for as clean of an ending as possible, is one of my favorite ways for a team that just dominates the early and mid game to end out a game, because you just crush any ounce of really hope or opportunity to come back. And it's just making sure that you check off every single box. Sometimes it's unnecessary. A lot of the time you won't need it, but being able to get a lead like that and then just methodically and very calmly check off every single box, like, yep, we've got this, we've got that, we've got that. Make sure that everything is in your favor and that there is no opportunity for the enemy team to come back. It just shows a lot of dominance and patience, and it really makes sure that you're able to take that stranglehold that you get in the early and mid game and take that all the way to a victory.
Yeah, and so with that, that is going to conclude our finals broadcast here at Learning 5 with the May season. Delta Airplanes falls to Cleaver Ashe. Cleaver Ashe taking the 2-0 victory and crowning themselves champions for this session. So fantastic job for them. 2 subs and a coach, as we're being told, being able to take away that victory, tried and true. And with that, it creates the ending for this current Learning 5 session. All of those of you that have been participating across the board, thank you so much for participating, whether it be as a coach, as a player, as a staff member, or just as a fan and a viewer coming and hanging out with us. We definitely enjoy it. July 20th, 18 days remains until the next sign up for Learning 5's open. So tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your kids, tell your lovers, tell everybody around you that Learning 5 is going to be coming at you right back and soon. My name was Jump. Alongside me, I had Mr. Blaster Boy himself. Thank you all for coming out and enjoying this moment with us. Another piece of Learning 5's action. Until we meet again, we'll see you guys later.